In 2011, monumental events occurred nearly on the daily. The revolutionary Arab Spring is toppling numerous regimes in the Middle East. In North Africa, Barack Obama is in the midst of his first term. The terrorist leader Osama bin Laden is eliminated. However, amidst the December of that year was a story worthy of the Onion. A commercial as part of a company's Christmas promotion is released on South African airwaves entitled Last Dictators. In it, an actor resembling Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe prepares a white cloth table with fine silverware. Mugabe then reflects on happier days gone by. These are the memories shown within the commercial. He engages in a water gun fight with Muammar Gaddafi, karaoke with Chairman Mao Zedong, making sand angels with Saddam Hussein, pushing the former hardline apartheid white South African President P.W. Botha on a swing, and finally, he enjoys a tank ride in the majestic African savannah with Idi Amin of Uganda. Mugabe holds the massive Idi Amin in his arms in a nod to the blockbuster film Titanic. It then cuts to the present, a forlorn Mugabe sitting at the head of an empty table. He is the last living of these despots and dictators who have ruled their respective nations with repression and bloodshed. Gaddafi had been captured and killed earlier in the year during Libya's civil war. Mao had died before of natural causes in 1976. Saddam Hussein had been tried and hanged for crimes against humanity. The white supremacist P.W. Botha was out of office and lived to see the collapse of apartheid segregation by the time of his death in 2006. The murderous Idi Amin of Uganda had died in exile in Saudi Arabia in 2003. Being played over the footage is singer Mary Hopkins' rendition of the song Those Were the Days. This is possibly a macabre reference to the Equatorial Guinea dictator Francisco Neguma, who allegedly had the song played during a mass execution. Finally, it is revealed what this advertisement's purpose is. A narrator states, quote, "No one should ever have to eat alone." It then displays a group meal deal for the international grilled chicken restaurant chain known as Nando's. The point of this dark comedy is to sell chicken. Colonel Sanders wouldn't have the balls. This mocking satire was neither the first nor last time the Chicken Corporation delved into political satire while advertising their unique flame-grilled and peri-peri spiced chicken. I've unfortunately never tried it myself as there are no locations nearby in my state, and I do not handle hot spicy food nearly as well as my toilet can attest. The response and backlash to this particular commercial would be severe. The vitriol would not originate from devotees of Gaddafi, Mao, Hussein, Botha, or Amin, but rather those working on behalf of the then living and ruling Mugabe. Welcome to Historical Detour. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on my video. Comment any topics you would like to see covered. Consider joining my Patreon. Nando's is a brand name I was completely unfamiliar with here in the States, although in South Africa and several other countries outside the US, it is a household name. South Africa is more than just the homeland of Nelson Mandela and Elon Musk of Rick and Morty fame, but it is also the origin of Nando's peri-peri chicken. Fittingly for a multicultural and multiracial place such as South Africa, the cuisine of the chicken chain of Nando's is very much inspired by Mozambican and Portuguese cooking techniques. Their architectural and artistic decor displays traditional African art of the country of South Africa. This was not the first time satire of real figures or serious topics landed Nando in hot water. 2002 saw an advertising campaign in Australia making light of forced detention of immigrants with hunger-striking detainees who, quote, decided to unsew their lips after hearing the news that with every Nando's quarter chicken combo, Nando's are giving away an extra quarter chicken for free, end quote. This was seen in many segments of Australian advertising authorities as being in poor taste. In 2009, Nando's bowed to outside pressure to alter an advertisement that parodied the controversial South African politician Julius Malema. Legal representation from Malema pressured Nando to have that commercial censored. Although founded in South Africa in 1987, Nando's has locations across the globe from Washington, D.C. to Malaysia. Most pertinently to our tale, however, Nando's has several locations in Zimbabwe. Nando's has had multiple locations in Zimbabwe since the mid-1990s. Zimbabwe had been ruled since 1980 by Prime Minister turned President Robert Mugabe, a former anti-colonial resistance leader against the previous white minority rule during the country's existence as Rhodesia. Mugabe, despite being well in his 80s at the commercial's airing, was still firmly in control of Zimbabwe, a living relic of latter half 20th century dictators. Mugabe over the decades consolidated more political power to himself and his party, the ZANU-PF, within the country, ensuring elections went his way In the 2008 presidential election in Zimbabwe, he waged war against his political opposition after failing to secure a majority. Mugabe's economic policies by the 2000s had led to a stagnant and shrinking economy. Most infamously to many internationally, a staggering inflation occurred of the Zimbabwean national currency, with individual notes by 2009 reaching an eye-watering 100 trillion. Additionally, the countrywide seizing of agricultural properties owned by foreign farmers, while nominally intended to uplift black Zimbabwean farmers, only exacerbated famine within the country. Nando circumvented this issue by contracting with local independent farmers who, in return for financial compensation from Nando, provided the staples of chicken, peri-peri peppers, potatoes for French fries, and other foodstuffs needed for the Nando's locations. However, in 2011, Mugabe still held power despite Zimbabwe's woes, clamping down on opposition through the Zimbabwean military, police, and Mugabe's personal cult of personality. While I have yet to find Mugabe himself making any public reference to the commercial, it is unlikely he held a positive opinion on it. One Mugabe-allied organization in Zimbabwe, however, made their opinion known. The Chipanganos organization is a mix of non-professional militia and organized youth gangs allied with Mugabe's ZANU party. They are situated within a section of Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. This is where the majority of Nando's Zimbabwean franchises are located. The Chipanganos were not unknown to the use of violence or intimidation. With ties to members of Mugabe's administration, the group acted with impunity, extorting civilians and businesses, and even forcing evictions of civilians. The local police apparently did little to stop these outrages, either not wishing to anger senior ZANU officials, being bribed, or not wishing to endanger themselves. The group's leader at the time, Jim Kunaka, issued a threat of boycott, claiming to the BBC that, quote, "We condemn such adverts because it reduces our president to be someone without values," end quote. Additionally, though the commercial was played within South Africa, within Zimbabwe, however, any direct mockery of Mugabe or his party was illegal. With the risk of legal or violent retaliation a real possibility, the head of the Nando Zimbabwean branches even clarified publicly that the commercial airing had been done without their consultation. Nando's decided to soon remove the commercial from airing, stating, quote, "We feel strongly that this is the prudent step to take in a volatile climate and believe that no TV commercial is worth risking the safety of Nando's staff and customers," end quote. While the commercial would not be aired again, it can still be found online, albeit uploaded by a user with seemingly no ties to Nando. While the Mugabe commercial can be found on YouTube, there appears to be little to no reference to the commercial by the Nando company since. A 20-year anniversary celebration of Nando's operation in Zimbabwe finds no mention of the controversy in a 2015 article. Ultimately, less than 6 years after this incident, the totalitarian 93-year-old Robert Mugabe would be toppled from power by members of his ZANU party in a coup in 2017, and Mugabe would die of old age in 2019. After dying in 2019, Mugabe finally joined the other tyrants and authoritarians of the Nando's commercial in death, deposed and defeated.